So let's take a look at some of these trades that we've had from the basic market cycle indicator that we've had so far today. One of the key core simple ideas of any market cycle is to understand this part of the process here. Is the cycle taking place in a trend, or is it taking place in a flat phase? If the cycle's taking place in a flat phase, then buying cycle lows and selling cycle highs are crazy good opportunities. If it's taking a trade in this direction here, then of course selling cycle highs are the right opportunities, and these are dangerous, very dangerous opportunities. You're likely to get trampled. So this is always going to be the caveat to any type of cyclical type trading idea. So one of the ways we try and understand that is to try and build cycles around things like momentum shifting. The idea that the cycle is in play, that the momentum is in play, that the trend is in play, and that value is in play becomes quite important to us overall. When we move over to the actual chart proper, we can understand this by using things like the max spectrometer or VWAP or anything else. It's quite obvious in the early part of the session here, it's quite obvious that we're trading quite strongly above VWAP, and the pullbacks are way above the 50-line pullbacks. So when I stepped into the markets this morning, the first thing I'm looking for is I'm looking for black below blue. That's the skews, of course, and I'm looking for the black line below all of the momentum skews here as well. So we've got a couple of really nice opportunities, especially this one here. Why? Because the momentum is bullish, the cycle is bullish. The black line is divergent against the blue line. We have a market trade above VWAP. This is a banker momentum buy trade opportunity just here. Banker trade. And it turns out that it was a banker trade here. It goes from a price here of 267s, and we don't take it off until 290s. A sensational buy trade outcome. So when we come up to that trade there, we're obviously now looking for sensational other trades. Now, none of these trades are sensational because the momentum's always in the same direction as the price. So the momentum is dropping, it's divergent, but it's dropping. So you're going to have to just be aware of the fact that that's going to be not quite to the same degree. Now, this trade here was interesting because we did have some value divergence from the background. The black line is quite clearly punchy to the top side. And of course, the momentum is actually falling. Now, we are above VWAP, so it is a more dangerous trade. So we can't really classify this as a all-in maximum, but it certainly has dollar value attached to it, and it certainly made some reasonable quick cash on the drop phase. Moving past that, we can obviously recognize that there was a bit of a noisy period in here, not really recognizing a particularly strong signal in any way, shape or form. And likewise, the strong signal wasn't here either. The next strongest signal we had actually was this sell trade here. You can see momentum's dropping, the cycles in the sell side. We get a massive arrival of value, massive arrival of volume, but the value is a bit problematic in this area, to be fair. The value is a bit problematic. The blue line is rising in an equal to basis here, and it would have been difficult to be a seller without any value at all. Now, obviously, when we go past that, we can start looking for some sell side value, which actually, to be fair, never shows up. So whilst this turns into a very nice sell cycle trade, it never really shows the quality that we're looking for. It's quite obvious that the momentum is falling here. No real trade for me during that phase, quite obvious. And if that's the case, you're going to need to see the purple or the blue to be able to start even contemplating a buy trade. The purple turns up there. You could have bought it. You could have made a scalp and you could have made some money. Now, this one was interesting. The momentum is now bullish. The cycle's bullish. The value is overtaking, and we're in a pin zone. And, it's not brilliant, but it is with VWAP, and I decided that it was worthy of a buy trade opportunity. It turned out to be a very, very good buy trade. Now, we kind of lost a wee bit in this area here. Not a bad problem to have. We were in profits at the time, so we had quite an easy profit take at that location. You can see we got massive buy side value here. The cycle had turned up. The momentum was still relatively bearish, so you had to be a little bit careful about bidding into this retested swing here. But if you did, you've managed to get a very nice pop out of it. Towards the top edge, I don't like any of the value up here. It seems back to front. The selling is definitely the right trade to be in terms of the momentum and the cycle. And the sell comes in and the price drops. So that would have been perfectly valid at that stage. Now, probably the best trade is this one here. You can see that the momentum's bullish, the cycle's bullish, the price is at the bottom. The value is strongly bullish. The only thing missing, of course, is a bit of volume. We've got some A10s, which is nice. We've got some A10s, so I like this quality trade. I think this looks really interesting. And in addition to which, of course, it's coming back into this very toxic buy trade in the background here. So I quite like my proposition here. I think this could be interesting. As it turns out, it wasn't. Well, okay, so why wasn't it? Well, we can see why, because the value actually accelerated here when this value was decelerating, suggesting that we've actually lost all the value. So, okay, so we're going to do something about it? Sure, we're going to take some money out. We're going to think about the possibility of maybe even getting a short sell into play if we can, because the values now came out. It looks as if this commercial seller has now taken control of the move, and we may well be looking at a short sell. Now, I never got a short sell. You can see quite clearly that the cycle was still relatively bullish, so we want to try and maybe add that into our picture. And you can see that we started to get a cycle for a sell trade here. The momentum is bullish, so as I said before, if the momentum's bullish, the black line is now extending. We need to see at least the purple line or the blue line at the volume surge to get the trade on, otherwise it is not a trade. The good thing about that trade was, of course, the value. The value is very bearish. In addition to which, we can also argue that there was a bit of nice sell-side value coming in at 295, and might have given you a nice opportunity just to take a shot at it. Now, how did it play out? It played out really, really, really well, didn't it? It was a very, very good-looking bit of business there. And went from 290s to a low swing of 276s. Nice scalp trade. Into the bottom edge, you can see we're now getting very close to VWAP. There's a bit of an acceleration on this drop. There was an acceleration on that drop. And that's obviously giving you a bit of the fear as a buyer at the moment. So you've got to be really careful. Now, this is a very, very good-looking buy trade, though. VWAP is bullish. You can see momentum shifts. So you can see the cycle's bullish. You can see that we're trading back into this area. The value looks nice and bullish. See the spike lower in the black line. The blue line's flat. This looks like a really good buy opportunity off the 76s, and it turned out to be a really good buy opportunity off the 76s. Nice trade, nice outcome, and you can see just how clear that trade is with this little indicator. Moving into the top edge here, we can see obviously a big surge in volumes, and at the same time as the big surge in volumes, the cycle's going sell side. We've got momentum divergence. The green line is not rising anywhere near as fast as the black line. The black line is now clearly quite significantly above the green line. And of course, we do have some sell side value. Why have we got sell side value? Well, because we can look at the blue line against the prior peak here, for example, as the dropping and the black line is rising, we have sell side value. So I like this. I like it a little bit. We're moving into this technical here, which was quite nice as a liquidity grabber. And of course, if you don't like selling on the uptick, you can always sell it on the way back out of that area, can't you? You can always say, well, let's just cross into the spreads here. Let's take a shot at the second candle here, and let's see what happens. Well, that trade has obviously done not too bad. It stayed the sell side value almost for the entire phase. I'm not watching anything else. I did get another opportunity to sell again. You can see the black line is quite clearly above a declining momentum, a declining cycle. You can see that we're getting some real nice punchy volumes in these areas here. It's coming into a toxic sell level in the background, almost in a mirror image of what happened over here. The market move is lower lows and lower highs. It looks glorious, this trade, doesn't it? It looks absolutely splendiferous. And with a little bit of splendifery, we like an opportunity to play. And sure enough, it buckled. It absolutely buckled, and we've just gone from the 280s to a low print price now of 230s, and we've put ourselves in another $1,000 of beautiful, beautiful, beautiful profits on that one. Coming down into the bottom edge, the momentum was selling off really hard. The momentum starts to diverge into the bottom edge here. You can see that the cycle's now starting to turn back up, and of course that gives us a very strong clue that now that we're at the bottom edge, The value is certainly not there to buy back into this, so I'm quite happy just to book some monies. And that's us. Trade's done. Very easy morning for anybody trading equities on this as a process. You can see all the trades we've taken since 7 o'clock. They've been predominantly buy side, but once we started to put into these lower lows, we started to work into the short sells from this phase. So you can see our flat phase. The flat phase, of course, was, so this was our buy phase here. This was our buy phase right through that phase. You can see we kind of went two-way money during this phase here, waiting to try and figure out. But you see the buys are at lower prices, the sells are at lower prices. And then, of course, the sell phase, which is now the phase that we've just done here. And we are now sell side only on this, looking for opportunities to work on the short sell side. We'll see if it plays out from this point. Sell side only business, and that's what I'm looking for. Sell side below VWAP, strong sell side below VWAP. And that's where we're going to try and pitch our tent to. So coming back to this as a storyline, it makes it very obvious when we look at this little drawing. You can see this storyline. So when the market is in a neutral phase, we can be the buyer of the low. We can be a seller of the high. When the market is having a lower low, lower high phase, then of course we only want to take the trades in these areas here. We only really want to take these types of trades here. These are obviously going to be the momentum short sells, big momentum short sells. Whereas in this type of cycle phase, we can play away into these two areas, of course, and it comes down to your ability to define those areas using either VWAP, moving averages, and the like. So whatever it is you wish to use, and of course, if they don't have value, they don't have anything. So it doesn't matter what it says. If it doesn't have any value, I still ain't going to take the deal. No chance. Not a chance in a million years. So we need to see the value, which obviously was exactly what we got in here. Do you see the value coming in there? Beautiful, isn't it? Absolutely beautiful. Look at that sell. Look at the value that we had on this. So there's a couple of things that obviously stand out. Firstly, there's the massive black over blue line. The blue line's actually falling, not even rising. The blue line is falling. You see across in any other candle, that does not happen, does it? The blue line does not fall against the black line on any other candle, except this one. This is the gold dust. This is the golden egg right there, guys. What we now need to do is we now need to get the price. We now need to get the liquidity. We've got the liquidity over here. Good volume candle as well. So we're looking now to see the momentum divergence in here, the cycle divergence in here. We should be good to go now on that sell side market making cycle, and we've ripped it, absolutely ripped it. You absolutely can use it as a profit take. So in other words, you can see the cycle changing in here, but you should still use your value to see that as well. But certainly there would be a nice easy profit take in there. Just trading into that candle, you can see that the candle has to be red when the cycle drops. So we're wanting to try and take some money, and that would have been a very, very good location just to book some of your cash there and see what else the market has for us. But the market drops nicely for us after that. Very, very easy sell trade, and we've been booking some profits ever since then on the way down. We're quite a distance away from being able to turn this into a sell. And that's absolutely do dandy. I don't see any value to sell it either, so that's not going to be a trade. So quite happy to pretty much finish this one off at the moment, And of course, as Laurie rightly mentioned, there are other things in the background, which we should always pay very, very close attention to. What are they? Of course, they are the major dealers' key levels, so just make sure you're always watching wholesale price levels, areas of interest, and the like. The big one for us today is going to be 23,200. We're not a gazillion miles away from that one already, so we're going to be prepared, ready to act at 23,200. And just make sure that does not leave your sight, this one here. So good levels, good ideas, keeping ourselves honest about where the levels are going to kick in. Trying to avoid fading against momentum always seems to be a pretty good idea, really, when you think about it, doesn't it? Fading against momentum, trying to avoid those types of silly things that cost you lots of money in the long run. So this helps us to identify that that's the case. And if it goes with us, we're in pretty good shape.